When you think about going to Mexico, you're probably picturing beautiful beaches and top-tier resorts and being served amazing food and drink under palapas, which you are in luck for because Mexico has plenty of that. But what you're probably not thinking about is the little bit of time you're going to spend at the airport. Why would you? You're a frequent flyer, you've been to airports before. Why would you stress about this one? Well, I have been to Mexico 6 times now, and I am still learning about new scams every time I go there. This past time, I turned to my best friend and was like, you know, I think I have enough to make an entire video about this now. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Today, I wanted to share with you all of the scams that I have personally encountered at the airports in Mexico, along with some generalized tips, so your trip to the airport can be a lot more stress-free than mine was. Alright, so let's talk about the first scam that I encountered. This was last year, March 2021. I was leaving the Cancun airport and I got a taxi to my hotel to come and take me there, and I told him that I was flying with JetBlue. And he kept asking me what terminal, and I was like, I don't know. So I looked it up on the Cancun airport website and I saw that it was Terminal 2. So I tell him that, he drives me there, drops me off. I walk into the airport and start looking around and I see absolutely nothing that says JetBlue. So I walk up to one of the attendants and I'm like, hey, where's like the JetBlue check-in counter? And he was like, oh, that's in Terminal 4. And I was like, but your website says it's in Terminal 2, which is where I then told my taxi driver to drop me off at. And he's like, yeah, no, it's in Terminal 4. Even showed it to him on my phone where it said it, and he just kind of like brushed me off, and I'm like, what? He was like, well, don't worry, we can get you there right now. We can put you in a taxi and it'll take you right to the other terminal. I'm like, taxi? Like, is that gonna cost money? He's like, yeah, it's $20. I'm like, $20? I'm like, well, how can I walk there? Is there like a shuttle or something? Like a lot of the airports in the US have just shuttles going between terminals. He was like, well, it's about a 30 to 40 minute walk, and keep in mind it's like 90 degrees out and I have a giant backpack with me and another rolly bag that would be very inconvenient to walk 40 minutes with, or I could wait 30 minutes for the next terminal bus. And I got to the airport at that exact 3-hour mark of how long you need to be at the airport so you don't miss your flight. So if I took that walk or waited for that bus, I definitely would have missed my flight. So I had to pay $20 to get driven 3 minutes away to the other terminal. I don't even know if the walk would have been that long. Like I felt like I got completely scammed. I can't imagine how many people that happens to if you're thinking that this is the correct terminal that you're supposed to be at, and then, oh no, like I have to get over here quickly, that'll be $20. What I would do next time is before your own taxi driver drives away, make sure you're at the right terminal. Ask someone first, be like, hold on for a second, so you can avoid that crazy taxi fee. I'm like, that's how much my taxi cost to get from the hotel to the airport. Okay, so this next, more inconvenience than scam, happened when I was at the Puerto Vallarta airport. I booked my flight through Aeromexico on Skyscanner. Every email I had was from Aeromexico. On the little logo for the email, I don't really know what that's called, said Aeromexico. So every document I had said Aeromexico. So naturally, when I got to the airport, I went into the Aeromexico line. I waited for about 45 minutes because you have to get your COVID test checked and it takes a while. But this was, at the time, the shortest line in like the entire airport. So I was a little bit happy about that. So I get up to the front desk and I'm like, hey, checking in for my flight, or, you know, show my COVID test, whatever. And he was like, oh, your flight's with Delta. And I'm like, because I'm showing him my phone, I'm like, that says Aeromexico. That says Aeromexico. And he was like, no, your flight is with Delta. And I was like, but everything that I have says Aeromexico. And he was like, no, you have to go wait in the Delta line. And like I turn and I look and it's like double the line that I just stood in for 45 minutes. So I'm like what? Like I'm gonna miss my flight if I have to wait in a line that long. And he was like, so I'm like standing there because I didn't want to leave yet. And I'm just like looking at every single email. I have nothing at all that says Delta on any email. So I said to him, like, I'm not someone who's gonna try and cause a scene at the airport. So I was like, is there a way that I could have known this, or how I can avoid it next time if I book through Aeromexico? He was like, I don't know. So then I had to go wait in that other line, which thankfully moved faster than mine, but that was incredibly inconvenient. I guess to avoid that, I would just double check with the attendant if you're flying Aeromexico, because Aeromexico and Delta are partners, and I knew that, but I didn't book through Delta. I didn't use the Delta website. Nothing said Delta, so why would I assume that my flight's with Delta? So yeah, if you are flying Aeromexico, double check. Double check you're not flying with Delta. before you wait in the line. Honestly, my best piece of advice if you're flying out of Mexico is to get to the airport before 3 hours in advance, because things could always go wrong and you just would rather allow yourself some extra time than be stressed and running around the airport trying to make your flight in time. Okay, so this is more of a tip related to COVID time. When you have to show your negative COVID test to get back to the United States or wherever country you need to get back to. So this instance was my first time flying out of Mexico during COVID time and having to show my test. I was a little confused. I never fly with a checked bag just because that's a little unnecessary to me. I never need that many things. So I just have either a carry-on or a personal item, and I go right to security, which is what most people do, especially if they have the mobile ticket on their phone. So I went to security and I waited in line for like 45 minutes, get to the front, show them my passport, show them my ticket, and they were like, oh, like you need another paper. And I was like, oh, I have my COVID test. And they were like, no, you have to show that COVID test to somebody at the check-in counter and they can approve it, and then you come and show us that paper. And I'm like, it's right here. Okay. Shouldn't take long, got you. Go all the way back through security, go all the way down to my check-in counter, and I had to wait in that line for over an hour. I was with my girlfriend and we were scared that we were going to miss our flight because like that line was not moving, because they don't have a separate line to just check your COVID test. You're checking your bags and your COVID test at the same time, which is really inconvenient for people that don't have any checked bags and avoid that so they can save time at the airport, but there's no saving time at the airport in Cancun anymore, at least during COVID times. But yeah, there's no sign or anybody telling you that before you go into the line for security, so I just want to let you guys know since the airport won't tell you, and hopefully save you some time. Luckily, when we went back to security, because we were like, it was under an hour before like our flight was gonna take off, like we were boarding, so we went back up to the security like lady, because it was still the same lady there. We went through the handicap thing and I was like, hey, I got this. We waited in the line. She was like, okay, you can go. So we got lucky. I feel like we got lucky. I don't know if they do that for everybody, but I was relieved. Usually if the lines are taking long, they will have people coming and pulling people from lines if their flight is close to leaving, which is nice, but still really stressful and like completely unnecessary. But just keep that in mind. Okay, and for my last scam, which is probably the biggest scam that I've seen yet. I feel like this is completely avoidable, but you know, it's a great way for airports to make money. So when you go to Mexico, you get your little tourist visa card on the airplane, you fill it out, and you know how long you're gonna be in the country and when you're leaving, where you're staying, and then once you get to your destination, you hand the customs guy this piece of paper, he rips it in half and hands you back the other piece, and then you are supposed to show that piece when you are leaving Mexico. Which I feel like at this day and age, we could do all that electronically, but you know, whatever. So I always keep mine in my passport, have never lost it, was always kind of curious about what happens if you did, but obviously never wanted to find out myself. But unfortunately, my best friend left hers in the safe at our resort. So when we got to the airport, she was a little, oh no, like, I should be fine, like, I have my passport saying I'm a US citizen, like, it shows when I got here, and clearly I have tickets that can show all these things, like, we assumed she'd be fine, which, I mean, she was, but after a little bit of inconvenience, we got to the line, and the lady asked for it, and Jess was like, I don't really have it. She was like, okay, no problem, you can go over there to that line and get another one, and then just come back here, and you'll be good to go. And I was like, okay, Jess, I'll hold your spot. She was gone for a while. And when she came back, she told me that she had to spend $30 on another one of these pieces of paper and had to pay in cash. So she then had to go to an ATM in the airport and pay a ridiculous ATM fee to then go back and pay this, probably at that point, $40 with the amount that she had to take out just to get this piece of paper back. There was a lot of people in that line, so you know that this is going on all day, every day, of people just forgetting these cards somewhere and then having to go get another one because people are forgetful, you know, we're on vacation. Yeah, if you don't want to spend an extra $40 for absolutely no reason, just to leave, to go back home, don't lose that piece of paper, put it somewhere safe. I would just stick it right in your passport and not open it until you leave the country. Alright you guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you so you don't get scammed the next time you go to Mexico, because all you should really be worried about is those beautiful beaches, right? Please hit that like button if this helped you, and hit subscribe for more travel tips, and I will catch y'all on the next one.